This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas. The information contained in this podcast is intended for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for individual professional legal advice. The podcast information was carefully compiled from vetted sources and references. However, Rose Resources outreach to safeguard the elderly cannot guarantee that you will not fall victim to a scam. Let's talk about scams. It's the must-listen show for anyone who wants to protect themselves and their loved ones from scams. Every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time on K4HD Radio, Joyce Petrowski, founder of Rose, and her guests will provide valuable insights and practical tips on how to recognize and protect yourself from scams. And now, here is your host, Joyce Petrowski.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Brian Watson. I am a community outreach specialist for Rose. I have the pleasure of filling in for Joyce Petrowski this morning. Welcome to Let's Talk About Scams. Today's topic, the title today is Don't Panic When Your Computer Wails. And I'm going to tell a story about something scary that happened to my mom. But spoiler alert, there was a happy ending and it ends well. Too many times in the scam prevention world, we hear all kinds of bad stories and, they're learning lessons. We don't shame anybody. Today's lesson had a positive ending because it involved my mom and she did everything right. So let's focus on something positive today. So let me tell you the story. Last year, I was about to start a fraud prevention presentation and my phone rings. So I'm at a retirement community. I have my computer set up. I'm going to tell the residents about how to protect themselves from being scammed. And my phone rings. It's my mom, and she says, she's having computer issues. Someone's taken over her computer. It's not working. And I said, Mom, okay, thanks for calling, but I'm about 5 minutes from starting. Let me finish this presentation and I promise I'll get right back to you. So the presentation ended. I get in my car, call my mom, and she's telling me more. She said, someone's taken over her computer. She can't operate it. It's making these noises. And I'm like, wow, this is even worse than I thought. So I jetted over to her house. It was, 45 minutes away. And I went directly to her house. I walk into her apartment and there is a noise coming from her office, a siren. Like, it was scary. And I sit in front of her laptop or her computer, and there was a pop-up on the screen and it was scary. It made noises and there was a voice, a male's voice that said, "Do not shut down this computer. You will lose all your files." And I tried to use her mouse, and the mouse was inoperable. And this whole thing was loud. I mean, it was absolutely scary. So, Juan, I'm going to have you pull up the first slide. Here's the pop-up that was on the screen. I took a picture of it, and it indicated that her computer was at risk from spyware and that there were infected files. And then there was a phone number on there for Apple support to fix the issue. So I can attest this siren and the male's voice was very ominous and scary. Even though I knew this was a scam, I still felt rushed. I felt like, I needed to resolve this quickly. And this is what I do for a living. As I use Windows, I use Windows-based computers. I know that I can always, on my keyboard, do a Control-Alt-Delete. And that way you get to the task manager and you can close out unwanted programs or applications. So that's the first thing that came to my mind, because when I tried to click the little X on the screen, it was not working. These pop-ups are very devious. Okay. Well, in this case, my mother owns a Mac. So what I did is I pulled out my cell phone, had my smartphone in my hand, and I just opened up a search engine and I said, how do you um, do a Control Alt Delete, but do it for a Mac? And sure enough, the Google machine helped me out. And I realized I could do something called an Option Command Escape on her Mac. And I did that, and it gave me the option of shutting down this pop up. And then the noise was gone, and it was peaceful in her house or in her apartment. And so the pop up disappeared from the screen, and the noise of that nasty siren stopped. It was a scam, but they wanted to trick her into thinking she had viruses on her computer and she had to resolve it immediately. And the only way to do it was to call that phone number on the screen. So let me just tell you this: my mom did everything right. She didn't panic when that nasty noise was coming from her office. She closed the door of the office and she called her phone a friend. And Joyce and I always talk about phone a friends. And in this case, her phone a friend was me, her son. And I was so proud of my mom for not falling for this scam. You know, if she called that number provided by the scammers, she could have been scammed in a whole variety of ways. You know, the most common way is they would have requested remote access to her computer to fix it. Because when you call these numbers, they're very nice. They sound professional. They sound like they're Apple, but they're not Apple. And they would have asked for remote access. Now they don't call it remote access. They just say, "This is how we fix um, these issues." Um, and but when you get the remote access, it can result in malware, which is short for malicious software. They could do ransomware. They could commit identity theft, where they steal your personal information. Or in a lot of these cases, they'll ask for a fee to fix things. So they'll ask you to send funds via a prepaid card that you would buy at the store. They might ask for a wire transfer, or they may even ask for cryptocurrency. So always remember, with something like this, whether it's a pop up on your screen or a phone call or an email or a text message, never call the number provided by a scammer. I guarantee you this number you're seeing on the screen here was a scam number. And incidentally, I tried calling that number the next day. It was already disconnected. So they've already moved on and changed that number. If you do call that number, you are falling for their trap. And it could have had horrible consequences. So I was able to close out that pop-up using the option Command Escape. But let's say, it's kind of scary and you didn't think about doing that and you couldn't figure it out. What else could I have done? Well, I could have just turned the computer off. I mean, the scary voice on the computer said, "Don't turn the computer off." Well, I could just turn the computer off and that thing would have gone away. Or I could have sought the assistance of a computer security expert. That could be someone in your family. It could be a friend. It could be, a local store or a contractor that you interact with. In my case, I have a college-age son who is really good at computers. And so the next slide I want to show you, I'm going to move forward, is this picture of a beekeeper. And the reason why I have the beekeeper is there was a movie in January of 2024 called The Beekeeper with Jason Statham, and it was pretty intense. If you're a Jason Statham fan, um, and as a former law enforcement officer, I was a fan of the vigilante justice in the movie. But to be very honest, I was rooting for him because there were some bad guys. And what did the bad guys do? Well, in the movie, his friend who he was staying with, and someone who he took care of, and she took care of him. She got scammed in a pop-up scam, and in the movie, it looks something like this. On her laptop, she got this pop-up that said, "Warning: Your computer may be infected," and it talked about scary things like viruses and Trojan horses and things like that. And it says, to remove viruses, call tech support hotline now. So in the movie, the beekeeper, Jason Statham's friend, called that number, and they had an answer for everything. Every one of her concerns, they had the right answer. And that's what these scammers do. This isn't their first time doing this. They hone their skills by victimizing people and using what works and get better and better at what they do. So in the movie The Beekeeper, she agreed to allow them to fix her computer. She got a little pop-up on her screen, which was part of the remote access. And in the movie, they ended up stealing $2 million from a charity that she operated. It was absolutely tragic. So if you ever get a pop-up like this, there's all kinds of variations. Do not react to it. You have time. As Joyce and I always say, time is your friend. Scammers want you to move quickly. You do not have to. In the summer of 2023, when I first started being part of the Rose team, I asked Joyce Petrowski, our founder, how do we measure success? It's hard to prove a negative. How do we know that what we're doing even is resonating with people, whether all this time and energy and money that we spend is actually working? And Joyce told me this. She said, "Brian, we succeed when someone follows our advice and is not scammed." So in today's story, my mom followed our advice and she was prevented from being a victim. So that's a victory. I keep hearing one horror story after another when I do presentations. People come up to me and tell me these stories all the time, and it breaks my heart. I can only say sorry so many times. There's not much else I can do. We can report it to law enforcement, but most of the time the money's gone. But in this case, with my mom and that pop-up, she did the exact right thing. So it's a victory, and we're going to celebrate it. Good job, Mom. So next week on July 22nd, I'm going to be talking about my mom again. Hopefully you don't think I'm picking on my mom, but it was an Amazon scam. And the title of next week is "When in Doubt, Call Your Friend." And I'm going to tell another story that happened to my mom. And this one also had a good ending, but it could have gone bad. Please go to roseadvocacy.org for more information. We have videos, we have articles, we have links. It's just full of great information. But the most important thing, please sign up for our free monthly email right on the front page. All we need is your name and your email address. Sign up your friends, families, neighbors. These are great conversation starters. We want to share this information with as many people that we can. And then also on Tuesday mornings, we have a little short tip that comes out. So we're getting constant information. Joyce and I and the rest of the Rose team are always looking for the latest information to share with our followers. So that's all I have today. If you enjoyed today's podcast, today's show, please share it. Share the link. We want more and more people to watch this, no matter where they live in the world, because scammers are everywhere. All right, that's all I have today. Thanks for watching. See you all next week.
Well, that's all the knowledge for this episode. Tune in every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time on K4HD Radio at k4hd.com as Joyce explores a variety of knowledge so you have the power to make scam protection your healthy habit. And until then, feel free to reach out to Joyce and let's talk about scams.